All right, guys, we are back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am Brian, your host. And man, what a great show we got lined up for you guys tonight. All right, guys, first of all, man, we want to welcome back Hank the Bass Geek back to the show. For you guys who all watched the Ken Ma show last night, almost 300 listens so far. Thank you all for
Nice.
listening. Got a lot of brand new followers on Facebook that are following the Basscast Radio group.
Yes.
And if you're on Twitter, we're on there as well. I think we're ain't got about like 45 people, but let's see if we can get that thing up to 45 to 450 to 1,000, man. So really appreciate you guys all listening to us on all the podcasting networks. So really appreciate that. Like I said, man, Geek was in Florida last week for ICAST
Yep.
2023, year number 2.
Yeah.
All right, first, I got a question first, and then I'll give you the floor, my brother. A lot of talk about the show being a lot smaller than it was last year.
You know, I don't see that. And why one of the reasons why I don't see that being smaller. Now, I know I watched a video from Chad Hoover, and I think
Yes.
maybe this is coming from the kayak
Yes.
side of things. Because the first day turnout, when they do the on the water testing and a lot of the product reviews for the media, they broke an attendance record for
Wow.
that. So I think that's primarily coming from the kayak side, and most of the companies were there, but there was a few, and I'm not a kayak guy. There were a few companies, kayak companies,
Right.
the boat manufacturers,
Right. The brands themselves.
yeah, that didn't show up. I don't think Hobie showed up, which was weird to me, but there was still a pretty good turnout, at least I thought, for kayaks.
Awesome.
For fishing in general. I really thought overall the amount of booths, the amount of stuff, I thought it was bigger.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Heck
you
yeah.
know, overall,
Yeah.
I thought it was bigger. Um, I got to enjoy it a little more this
Cool.
year. Really get to talk to a lot of people. And for you guys that don't know, iCast is really an industry deal. I know a lot of us that have never been there, and like last year was my first time, so it was a total eye-opening experience to me. I've worked a lot of expos and that sort of stuff, and I thought, oh man, it's just a big expo, but that is not the case. Basically, other than the first day, what's really the media day, and so last year I went with a company, and this year I filed as media, which was a much better experience. I didn't get to go to the media day because I didn't know that there was all this stuff there for us for easy access.
Oh.
So, second year, I'm still learning. The first year I didn't get a lot of the emails for the media side of things.
Right.
Because again, I went with one of my sponsors with the company, so I was technically a seller, and that's really what iCast is. iCast, you go down there and you have these large buyers. You have buyers and manufacturers. So you have companies like Pittman Creek, Bass Pro Shops, other small like what's the kayak store? I'm sorry that you work with.
Journey Outdoors. The whole
Journey
team was
Outdoors.
there. The family was there.
I just so happens I run into them. I know
That's
them
awesome.
from working the
Augusta County.
Augusta County show.
I am here for you.
Exactly. Thank you. It's been a busy day, so a busy week. So I got to see them, got to run into them. It was good seeing them again. But they sell baits and stuff and kayaks and all that. So of course, they're going to be there. And so this show is really set up not really to unveil new baits, but for buyers and sellers to get together and make deals for the upcoming year. That's really what this show is about. So, I literally got snapped at by some Japanese guy who, I didn't know was talking to a customer. I was his buddy, gave a card and said, "Hey, talk to him." And I was like, "Here you go. Hey, I'm Bass Geek." And so that's what you're down there. You're down there to kind of rub elbows a little bit too in the industry. So for me, last year, I just got the Camus deal. I really had to focus on going to these companies, these bigger companies, who don't care who you are. They don't give two shots about you. Like PowerPole, TH Marine, Garmin, which I'll say Garmin treats me great.
Yes.
And you've got to introduce yourself, and that's hard. This year, all that stuff in place. I don't have to worry about that. So I got to actually go around and talk to a lot of bait companies, and where I've got, I've been blessed to work with Camus, and Camus has allowed me to be at the Classic and the Red Crest and a bunch of other shows. So a lot of people are beginning to recognize my ugly mug. It's kind of hard to miss.
Come on now.
No, it's kind of hard to miss.
That is too funny.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's cool though.
Special delivery.
There you go. For you guys who aren't watching the video, Geek got delivered dinner. All right, Geek. Before we bring on our guest tonight, like you said, you got to walk around. You got to experience the whole show this year for yourself. What's one thing that you said, I can't wait to pick it up, man? One, because
I'll give you a quick rundown.
Okay.
So for me, everybody fishes different. There's one thing from the boat side of things.
All right.
There's a company called Fish Lung, and they've come out with this new live well system that is impressive. And, me and you have talked about it a lot. We've got increased pressure on our lakes because the sport's growing.
Yes.
I know we all grumble about how hard it is to catch bass now, but if we want the industry to grow, it has to grow, people. So that means more pressure. It's how it works. And so I think any way we can get better at taking care of our fish, our resource. And so that's a really incredible product that I've seen so far. Other than that, ARC, and I don't work with any of these companies. ARC came out with a new spinning reel, which I liked, our first ever endeavor into the spinning reel.
Ooh.
And they came out with an $80 aluminum body, not graphite or carbon. So this is a tournament quality reel, aluminum, metal body reel. So you're talking about something for $79 retail, $80. I don't know that there is an aluminum frame reel on the market for that price.
That's crazy.
Most of them stop at, and I'm a huge fan of the LFS and the Shimano SLX. That's generally the area that they stop. And then the rest of it, I'm really focused on, because, getting my rear end kicked repeatedly on the BFLs this year by live scopers. I've really been focused on that and trying to get better in that. And whether you love it or whether you hate it, if you're fishing tournaments, we had on, what was his name? You asked him a great question. He was, I believe he was the guy that won, and I run into him down there too.
The gentleman that won the
like 3 tournaments last year. 3, I think he won like the Bassmaster championship, national championship or something. But you ask him about, is it crucial to have a trolling motor versus paddle versus pedal?
Right. Oh, yes.
And he had said, and he had put it beautifully, and I've stole this from him ever since, even when it comes to live scope. It's not that having a trolling motor on your kayak, it's not that you can't win without one. But that is now the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
And so it's the same way with the live scope when it comes to your bigger tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you can't win, but that is now the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, how many interviews have we done with pros this year where they're using their live scope? Would you say as high as 80, 85%?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even higher.
I think the only person, Keith Poche, I don't think he's using it. We know he talked to John Cox.
Yeah.
And Cox said it was still sitting in a box.
Yep.
So, you know, you kind of wonder too. I mean, Keith's not old either.
No.
I mean, Keith's probably right around my age, a little bit younger. But I mean, you know, Cox is a little bit older, and, you know, he's probably right around our age.
Yeah.
You got older kids. So, you know, you kind of think of it that. And, you know, we don't want to get into this whole spill tonight.
No.
But you're right, though. You kind of think a lot of people I've talked to here locally in Central Virginia are just giving it all up.
Yeah.
Young kids can have it, you know.
Yep.
I mean, I had one, you know, some people that fished with me for a very, very, very long time. And they said live scope costs more than my boat does. I didn't pay like $3,000, $3,500 for my boat. I mean, and this live scope's $4,000.
The old Triton, you know, it probably books the boat itself for $5,000, and it cost me $3,000 to put the live scope and a 10-inch screen on it. But back to ICAST, and the point I was making is that's the industry's focus, boys and girls. Rapala come out with live scope baits. Some of my favorites from Great Lakes Outdoors. Great Lakes baits or outdoors. I can't remember.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with live scope. Eco baits, a hot head. They've got lead heads that have sort of reflective cones in the fronts of them.
Oh.
Queen's tackle, a tungsten underspin, a tungsten, basically a marabou jig. You know, I mean, you've seen a lot of that. I think if I didn't mention it, you know, not Gama, but
Berkeley has some stuff too.
Berkeley had some stuff.
Yeah, they had that big old
Yamamoto. Yeah, Yamamoto had some stuff. Boy, they had a big straight tail floating worm that was sexy too. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You know, a lot of good other baits. But I'll tell you, every single brand had 2 to 3 entries that are designed for live scope.
That is awesome.
So it's well, I don't know if it's awesome or not, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, I mean,
like you said, though, it's the change in the game.
It is what it is, right?
All
You're either going to play or you're going to stay.
That's it. Before we wrap that part up, you know, Biz Baits had their first booth there.
They had some really good stuff too. I went by and talked to them also.
It was pretty awesome. Brian, you know, made that leap, and that's what it takes. And especially when you got 1 or 2 kids at the house and bills get big, and you got to go all in. So, I mean, and they've got some great product as well. So congratulations to them being a part of ICAST 2023.
And I'm pretty sure they've got an entry into the live scope section. So if I do remember seeing it. So.
All right, guys. You guys have seen all the postings. I've been trying to do a little posting before each show, give you guys a little key about what is coming up on the Basscast Radio. And, you know, tonight's going to be a different show. Ain't no professional on tonight. We just got a local angler right here in Central Virginia. And if you guys are not following Mr. Matt Harmon, which you guys all know is Harmon Outdoors on Instagram, catching tanks. The boy catches some big old bass on Smith Mountain Lake. And, you know, somebody asked me on Threads, you know, when I can ramble forever on this part. On Threads, I asked everybody, I said, what should we post on Threads? And someone asked me, the first very thing, Geek, was could you find someone who could maybe help us out? Give us some tips, or it doesn't even. They don't have to give us them. You don't even have to give them their names. And I said, well, crap, Matt's been wanting to come on for quite a while. So here we are, Mr. Matt Harmon. Matt Harmon, everybody. Welcome to Basscast Radio. I apologize, first of all, it's taking so long to put this whole thing together, but here we are. And man, dog days of summer here, right here on Smith Mountain Lake. But we're going to do a little bit of talking about Smith Mountain Lake tonight. Maybe, Matt's probably going to hopefully maybe drop a few dimes and nickels for you guys out there, help some of you guys out on Smith Mountain Lake. And, guys, Smith Mountain Lake is a clear body of water. It's deep, really freaking clear. So a lot of the stuff that he's going to drop tonight, if you have a clear, deep body of water in your neighborhood, like Geek, hopefully some of these tips will help you guys out a whole lot. So but before we get started, Matt, I know who you are, but give our listeners a little bit of background information about you, who you are, and how you got into this big old bass world.
Man, Matt Harmon, Instagram, catching tanks. Got started, man, pond fishing in a 12-foot John boat. And, my dad's big into crappie fishing and tried to take me down that route. And I'm like, something about bass. I just love them. So
Heck yeah.
from the freaking cream with the spinners on the front to evolving to Texas rig and top water and in high school, Bugs Island's my home body lake, and in Bugs Island Bassmasters, Denny Gilbert was president back then.
Right.
I used to pick his brain all the time, and from there, man, I was successful young in local derbies, and ended up joining the military at age 18, and that kind of set me back quite a bit in tournament fishing. And I didn't really get back in tournament fishing really until about 3 years ago. I was big on James River muskie fishing and smallmouth. And I said, well, let me see if I still have the itch. So I got a bass boat and started fishing. And I was like, yeah, I need a faster bass boat and had to upgrade. So back in the swing of things again. And especially this past year, having a lot more success and getting back into the feel of the
right
running gun and the grind of tournament fishing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we know Smith Mountain is it's a big tournament lake. What's some of the bigger tournaments that have really been held there that you've competed in or that you've done real well in? Some of the
well, for whatever reason, conflict interest with my schedule, I've been trying to fish the Basscast past couple years, and really it hadn't lined up. But Kevin and Joey Dawson do an awesome job on the cat. I fished the cat the whole series this past spring, did really well. And Billy Coles was my partner for some of them. He couldn't fish some, so I fished solo and some, and had 5th place, I think, and 1 3rd and 1. So
nice.
So getting back into this tournament fishing thing, like you said, you've been out for a while. You got back in, and probably before you just went out with your friends and all that good stuff like that. But now there's money on the line. Picking the right partner, and it's more, people don't understand, it's more than just teaming up with someone.
Oh yeah.
It's we've talked about it on the podcast show many times. It's finding that perfect balance
100%,
to make working off each other's strengths and weaknesses, and teaming up with different people. How have you been able to find that balance for you? You're a wide open dude. I mean, you're very emotional.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I went through a few partners, and I'm still a new guy on the block on Swift Mountain. So a lot of people still want to talk to me. So uh, man, a lot a lot of derbies I fish by myself. um, really, the only person that I'll fish with is Billy because we complement each other so well. um, you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm a finesse guy.
Right.
Drop shot, Carolina rig, shaky head, and if you team up with somebody who's a crankbait guy all the time or something, it's really hard to finesse fish
Yeah.
if you're with somebody who's just boom, 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 running banks. And my strength is picking stuff apart, and especially if I know big fish are there. A lot of it, with tournaments, you're once you get used to a body of water, you can fish memory a lot. And Billy will listen. A lot of guys are like, "Hey, man, there's big fish here. Let's take another 10 casts." A lot of guys are like, well. And I'll be honest, I hate fishing off the back of a boat. And with Billy, we'll swap off.
Right.
It depends on who boat it is. He might jump on the front of my boat. I'll jump on the front of his boat, and we like I said, we complement each other. We complement each other really well.
Now, bugs, man, that's a total different. I mean, for you guys who, we had that Bassmaster Open on bugs this year. Bugs is huge, guys. It is a
Oh,
big
it's
body
a
of
monster.
water. It is a monster. Catfish tournaments down there. I mean, we're talking about cats as long as my arms. I mean, but it does have decent bass in it. I've had some people comment on my reels from the Open. Guys, 15 pounds in 90-degree heat. It's pretty daggone good on bugs.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
Pretty
Yeah.
daggone good for that lake. So we're looking at two separate different bodies of water here. I mean, you're looking at average 15 pounds can win a tournament to come into Smith Mountain Lake. If you don't have 20 in the spring and the fall, you're not cashing a check.
No, not a chance.
How have you been able to kind of balance that, being back into the scene and being a part of it? How have you been able to balance that, the differences?
That's a great question. So we're talking bugs. On bugs, I don't throw a lot of drop shot. I don't jerk bait fish a lot. But Smith, I really had to re-educate myself on different techniques.
Okay.
Or educate myself on different techniques. Namiki, jerk bait, things of that nature. And let me tell you, this past winter on Demiki, freaking killed it. And a lot of guys think Demiki's a small fish technique. Man.
Oh, no.
Billy will tell you, man, we were freaking killing 5, 6, 7 pounders on freaking Demiki.
And a lot of guys think it's a smallmouth technique. At ICAST, I still couldn't believe. Like I would have a few pros, talk about, those we're calling it snipers, sniping up here, because the Demiki is, so we're calling it sniping, with the forward facing sonar. And dude, like they still think it's a smallmouth deal. And and where I live at, we still chase smallmouth in the wintertime, but right up the road is Dale Hollow. And Dale Hollow is pumping out 20, 22 pound bags of largemouth because there's a slot limit, a weird slot limit of smallmouth where you can't keep, you can only keep one below 14 and one above 23. So you have to target largemouth.
Right.
And so what you do to win those tournaments is you go and you find those largemouth that are chasing, shad, just like you do on the smallmouth lakes. And it's, so there's a lot of guys that still just aren't tuning into that.
Well, and a derby back in February, I won big fish, 642. It was 47 feet of water suspended in 42 foot. And you could just see this glint. I'm like, that's a stud. He knew it wasn't a striper, so just kept messing with it, kept holding it. And I finally gave it a pop, and that was enough for it to suck it in.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm like, oh, Jesus, I got a giant on here. And
Yeah.
yeah, next thing I know, winning big fish off of it. So, yeah, it's, man, what a technique. I've caught striper on it. I've caught freaking flathead on it. I mean, it's crazy the things I've caught on Mickey.
Suspended. Like people don't think. You think of a flathead, you're thinking. I was running by a little old 2.8 by one, and I thought for sure. And then I seen how long it was, and I went, nope, that's not one. And he comes up, and I start reeling it faster, and he goes, whoa, 13-pound cat.
Oh yeah, a flathead, man. A lot of people don't understand. They like live fish. I mean, they're gonna chase bluegill, shad. It's not like a old flathead. I mean, a channel cat just laying down the bottom.
Yeah,
bottom feeding. But yeah, I've caught so many flatheads on crankbaits and everything.
Yeah.
So, like I said, moving tournaments, fishing your home body of water, which you said was Bugs Island, but you fish a lot up here with old Mr. Billy Coles. On Smith Mountain Lake, having that mentor, how has that helped you maybe speed up things a little bit more for you as an angler?
A lot. So he got me into Mickey fishing, and I've been working on him with Carolina rig because he hates Carolina rig.
Amen.
He started to integrate, and if you fish Bugs Island, you have to fish Carolina rig.
Yeah.
You have to. And friggin' people see me throwing a 8-inch Magnum Lizard. They're like, what is that? And next thing you know, pulling out a 7-pounder. But yeah. And I throw a Magnum Lizard on Smith a lot. After my leader's a lot lighter than it is on Bugs, but we're talking on Bugs, I might throw a 14-pound to 20-pound, depending on water clarity. On Smith, I'm throwing 10-pound, 8-pound leader, and same with drop shot. Right now, well, it's a little murky because of the rain we've gotten, but I'm down to 7-pound on drop shot. Clear bodies of water, you got to really, really go down your line. Even wintertime on jerkbait this past year, Billy and I were talking. He's like, man, how are you whacking them on jerkbait? I was down to 8-pound test on jerkbait.
Wow. That's what I throw all the time.
Yeah, and I think Billy was throwing 12 at the time. I may be wrong, but
no.
I was like, I was throwing 12, and then I bumped back to 8. So next thing you know, he's back to 8 and whacking them. So I mean, and he's from up north, so the Mickey and like the 3-3 Context and things like that. They throw a lot up there, and that's helped me out a lot. And things that I fish, that he doesn't. Like I said, we complement each other very, very well. So I think the world of the guy. So
you mentioned earlier you fish a lot by yourself. You fish a lot of these tournaments alone, and there are I know 2 or 3 personally that fish a lot of tournaments alone and have never really had a quote unquote partner. And and they don't do it for all tournaments, but I mean do a lot of tournaments alone. That mental aspect of I kind of say being a rookie and fishing alone and not necessarily the confidence. What's that? The mindset. I always get into the mindset on this podcast show, and you guys know that a lot because the mindset can screw you up a whole lot real quick. And
it got me this year.
You can keep redoing the same thing over and over again, and getting the same results. But how is that helping you or not helping you, or is it in 2024 you say I want to go a different way with this whole entire thing, or just continue to fish alone?
Well, I'm sure everybody who bass fishes always has that dream. I want to fish at least one in my lifetime Elite Series tournament, and those guys fish alone. So I try to have the mindset I need to focus on fishing alone. And honestly, fishing alone, as you know, you follow me on Instagram. I fish alone a lot, and I feel like I'll learn a lot fishing by myself.
Yes.
I've spent I don't know how many tanks of gas graphing, and I see something that looks good, I'll mark it.
Right.
And I'll come back and fish it later. And I know if I'm fishing dead water or just because it looks good doesn't mean it's
there's fish there.
Man, it's you guys know with tournament fishing, it can go either way.
Yep.
I go into every one thinking I'm gonna win this thing. And if you think that I want to get a top 10, you've already lost. So tournament fishing by myself, I'll slow down a lot, especially if I know the fish are there. And a lot of people knock on, I hate to switch gears, but a lot of people knock on live scope, but I've learned so much about bass. I was just talking to a buddy of mine the other day. There's a brush pile. I've been catching them all in the past 2 years consistently. And I rolled up to it 3 weeks ago. And I was watching that brush pile, and I scanned off to the right, and the fish were there. And they would swim up to that brush pile and pluck off some bluegill or whatever the bait were and swim back off.
Yeah.
They know it's been hit. They know where the bait's coming from. So they're staying off of it now. And just watching that, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So when they swam back out, I tossed a drop shot over there. And when they swam back up, the bait was already there, and whoop, they're on the line. So it's been crazy. But I can't say enough about live scope, man. It's a lot of people say, "Oh, it's ruining fishing." No way, man. It's a tool. It's a freaking tool.
It is. Oh, I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, you want to know how bad of an angler you are? Throw that live scope down and look at that spot. You catch them out all the time. Tell me how many you ain't catching. Tell me how many you ain't catching.
Right. Jerkbait. Jerkbait is a
oh my God.
To watch them swim up, you're like, oh man, he was
It kills you. It kills you.
But flip that around, to switch your cadence up, so on and so forth. Texas rig, whatever, to change your presentation and figure out what they're going to eat. Oh man, I tell people all the time to say that it's ruining the sport. I'm like, come fishing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, there's a fish, catch them. So.
Listen, I get guys all the time on my YouTube channel. They'll say stuff like, it don't take no skill to catch them with live scope. And I'm like, okay, I'll make a deal with you. I got $100,000 boat sitting out here. I got every bait and rod and reel you could ever imagine, probably 3 of. I've got all the graphs you could ever want. So I'll tell you what, I will pay for your hotel. You come down, you get on my boat, and in front of 70,000 people, let's see how easy it is.
Right.
I ain't telling you where we're going. We're going to go, and you're going to show, and we're going to see. And we're going to do it live and then we're going to ask you at the end, how hard is it? And I've laid it out there. I've laid it out there 100 times. Ask me how many replies I've got. I got a ton of excuses.
Right.
But I ain't got, and I mean it. I'll pay for the hotel. I got a hotel right down the road. I'll pay for it. I'll buy all their food. All they got to do is get here. All they got to do is get here.
Hey, I've offered a minute to say, hey, come on the deck with me. I'll show you. There's a fish right there.
Yep.
It's 50 feet out.
Yeah.
Catch it.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
I want to see what you got. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
Guys, we got Matt Harmon on from Harmon Outdoors, man. We're talking to him about from catching tanks, talking about local bodies of water and our local bodies of water right here in Central Virginia. We ain't gonna leave that old Lake Anna out a little bit. The old the power plant up there.
Are you from Anna?
No. I'm not. I'm from. What's funny is you was talking about your buddy. He's from up north. Well, see, I'm from East Tennessee, so I'm fishing, Cherokee, South Holston, Watauga, Norris, all these lakes that clear up to about 20, 30. Oh yeah, dude, that's my home lake. And so that's where, that's where we do that sort of stuff, so.
No, I'll tell you a funny story about Anna. I took a few days vacation for my birthday this past year back in February, and you know, I'm pretty good at breaking down a lake. So I was looking at maps and everything based on time of year, and I had it mapped out where I was going to fish before I even got there. And my first day on Anna, I had 22.76, and I was like,
wow.
damn. And then half day the next day I fished, I had 17 pounds for lunchtime. I was like, dang. But just following patterns of what bass should be doing doesn't always mean they're going to be.
Right.
But and when I got to the ramp that day, I asked, it's an important question to ask guys. You don't catch them. You don't ask guys, what do you catch them on? What color? I said, what depth are you catching them? He's like 14 foot. And I was like, that's all I need to know. So, I smoked them on a freaking jerk bait at Anna. Smoked them. And it was fun. I want to go back up there.
I've been a couple different times, and it's definitely a great lake.
Oh, yes. I've not been there, but I have heard nothing. I got a buddy that lives up there, and I've seen a picture just today, as a matter of fact.
Well, in January, they had 28-pound bag weight in there. I was like, that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And it's not a weekend. You can't go by on Lake Anna. There ain't a bass fishing tournament either. It's two different marinas, and both marinas are hosting tournaments Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's always something to fish up there on Lake Anna. And like I said, the bags are for real. If you guys ever get a chance to head on up to Lake Anna and fish, I will tell you, I'm not sponsored by anybody up here, so don't stay anywhere close to the lake. It ain't nowhere to stay.
And everything closes early.
Everything closes early.
That sounds like Birdstown listen, man, we're fishing the first two tournaments of the year, so the day's getting a little bit longer. We're getting off the lake at like 7, putting everything up, getting back to the hotel room. All the restaurants done closed, man. We're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's what happened to Anna. I found a Chinese restaurant that was open. It was like 7 o'clock. I'm like, I guess I'm eating Chinese.
Yeah.
So if you ever do go to Lake Anna, guys, stay a little ways away from the lake, by the way. And there's plenty of hotels because the interstate's not too far away from there. So stay somewhere on the interstate, make the 15-minute trip, 20-minute trip over to Lake Anna and get you in some great bass fishing. Matt, man, you talked about the drop shot, talked about the Carolina rig. What do you think the drop shot you're talking about a lot on Smith Mountain Lake, and what do you think makes it such a deadly bait on Smith Mountain Lake?
What makes drop shot a deadly bait?
Yeah.
Whew. Man, it's so versatile. You can shorten your leader up to your weight during the spawn. You can lengthen it for when they're staging for pre-spawn. It's there. And I've been throwing we're talking about 304 before we went live, and the Skinny Pete, God knows, man. 304 Skinny Pete is a freaking killer. It's like no other bait out there, and I've just been whacking them on it. And it's so finesse, and they can't see the line. The weight's down here. It's a lot different from like Carolina. It just catches fish. I mean, if it's a 1/4 pounder or a 7 pounder, it catches them. If they're in the area, they're going to eat it. So
yeah.
Do you want to drop a favorite color right here on Basscast Radio?
Right now, Morning Dawn has been my go-to.
It's hard to believe that to this day, that color.
I know,
because that has to be everybody's first color that you pick up, but it still catches them. It still does.
And if I'm throwing like a roto worm, Martin's Madness is my go-to.
Yeah.
RIP to the legend. But Yeah, but here lately, man, past 3 or 4 months, that morning dawn's been killing them.
Do you have a certain, for you as an angler, the tournament series, is there a direction that, you talked about wanting to fish your first ever Bassmaster event? Is there a certain direction, do you have a plan laid out for what you were? I don't even know. How old are you, Matt? You said you're like 30 something, aren't you?
39.
39. That's what I thought you said.
Yep.
Is there a plan laid out for Matt? You got a little late start, brother. I mean, but a lot of anglers out there do have a late start, and it's different now. So we're almost gonna have to reverse you compared to a lot of, now what we have and what we had then, going back into the 80s and 90s, where we had people that were like, 50 years old that fished for 4 years, winning a Bassmaster Classic. So I mean, and now we got, I don't want to call them kids, but now we got 19, 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds winning brand new bass boats at 40, 50, 60,000. I don't even start at 40 anymore. 60 to 100.
I don't want to sound like I'm 80, but
no,
when I came along, we didn't have the programs that these guys have now.
Yeah.
JMU, I don't know anybody in that. I know a angler in that program, but they have a great program. And, I've talked to him. He was actually my co-angler in the BFL this year, and he was telling me about how good of a job they do. And I was like, man, I wish that was like a thing when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So
it would be great.
I would have went to college versus join the military. But I'm a single dad of 2 boys, so man, the money aspect of it, finding sponsorships hard. Man, financially it's tough because you have to take time off from work. Obviously, I have a full-time day job, so that's really the Achilles heel right now is time and money.
Well, let me reword this for you then real quick. What's helping you speed up then? I mean, like you said, you're a single father. You don't have the time that you needed. What's helping you speed up? I know we got YouTube now. We got Geek, popping videos and popping tips, but there's a lot more to it than just that.
There is.
Honestly, that's a great question. So the past about a year now, I've gone out of my comfort zone and really started focusing on techniques that I haven't fished in the past. Spy bait being one.
Oh, I love them.
Until I started using them, like, man, this is,
people don't get how good they are.
I know, and Berkeley for years was like the bait, but man, they make a hell of a spy bait and jerk bait. God knows, I've switched to friggin' the Stunner exclusively from our jerk baits, and they're less expensive than the Mega Bass, and they're tougher. Yeah. So, man, and I don't know, spy baits, Demiki, just techniques. I'm always trying to find a niche that nobody else is using.
Yep.
Because they see the same stuff all the time. You know, we're talking about, ICAST this year, and everybody's reinventing the wheel, but not everybody is throwing the same thing. Like, I throw custom crankbaits, I throw custom jerk baits. Stone Man Lures, he does a phenomenal job hooking me up. I tell him what I want, color scheme wise, and he does it. He can get blanks for anything. And sometimes they're like, "What?"
You are really preaching what I love to talk about, and it's small companies.
Oh yeah.
Z-Man, I always use this. Z-Man didn't invent the chatterbait; they bought it.
Right.
Small guys in their garages change the industry.
Oh yeah.
Big companies buy them and make money off of them. And 304, the companies that you just talked about, a lot of the companies other than Berkeley, but being able to what was the company again? Give them a shout out. The last one you mentioned there with the blanks. Stone Man. Those are the companies, man, that, it is about showing them that we all know there's more pressure. And I've said this, I don't know, it seems to be the theme of my day. If we're going to grow the sport, more pressure is going to come. It's what we have to do. And,
I mean,
but
I'm
it's
with
showing
you.
them something
Like
different.
These
And,
small companies, like Bulldog, he does my wiggle warts for me.
There you go.
Stone Man does my glide baits and my my jerk baits. Another one, you talking about chatterbaits? Just happen to have this freaking
Venom, good company.
Their chatterbaits are, dude, they're killer, freaking killer chatterbaits.
Yeah.
And I've turned guys onto them. They're like, "Damn, this is the best chatterbait I've had." You're not spending $25 for a freaking jackhammer.
Yeah.
So, but that's my thing, man. Like Magnum lizards, and I've got a friend of mine right now who's working on a 10-inch lizard mold for me. Because I've used some from a company in California, but it's so damn hard to get them from him. And so my guy, Joe Frank, he's working on a mold right now for me. So yeah, hopefully that comes together pretty quick.
That's even J Bros. I'm not sponsored by them. And something you love to fish on a big Carolina rig and a big Texas rig. Check out their BFW, which is Big Freaking Worm.
Trust me, now?
J Bros. It's literally a dad and two of his very young sons.
Okay.
And this worm is only 10 inches, but it's big around than my thumb, and it's like a triple ribbon tail.
Oh, wow.
Hold up. Time out.
Okay.
All right, show them to us again.
So I've been throwing these on Carolina rig.
Yes.
And, dude, they're monsters.
Yes, man. Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, giants. But they freaking slay.
Yes, brother.
I'm throwing a freaking 7-0 hook on these things.
Yes.
I have to give them a couple extra bumps, but before I set the hook. But man, it's just something different. I mean, that's the thing. You got to find something that not everybody's throwing. So, yeah, they catch fish.
That's so funny.
Man, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Thanks for talking with us and talk to us about your whole story is pretty freaking cool, to be honest. Being a single father and going out there and doing it. Thank you for serving our military, by the way. Really, really appreciate that. That's definitely huge. So thank you. But talking about your background, where you are today and where you really want to be, and learning the sport of fishing and coming back into the sport of fishing, because it's like we said about high cast earlier, there's nothing really new. It's just a presentation of what's new.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's really new behind it all. Different hooks, different types of hooks. There's nothing really, you're still throwing the same bait on that hook. It's just a different, hopefully it holds onto the fish longer.
Yep.
So, I mean, or hooks them better. There's a lot of different things. And like I said, the presentation has more to do with it than the actual baits themselves. So
and like at ICAST, you have the big box companies, but like Geek and I were talking about, the small companies where it's at. Like even with Venom, I use their hooks exclusively. The Def Grip, man, they have a bigger barb and they freaking hold fish. I never lose a fish on Texas rig or Carolina rig since I switched to their hooks, man.
Well, brother, man, we got to wrap this show up. We really appreciate you coming on with us tonight.
I appreciate you, man. I really do.
Talking with us. Like I said, any other, you mentioned your Instagram a few times. Anywhere else anybody can follow you other than Instagram, or is that pretty much your main gig?
I really need to focus more on YouTube, but TikTok is Catching Tanks. YouTube's Harmon Outdoors. Facebook's Harmon Outdoors. And Brian, I'm gonna put some pressure on you. I need you to put together a veteran tournament series. So.
There you go.
All right, well, so we can do on that, guys. We're gonna be
glossed over.
Back, we're gonna wrap this bad boy.
So what had happened was.
All right, guys, man, we really appreciate Matt Harmon coming on and talking with us tonight. It's a great conversation. We really haven't had one of those in quite a while here on Basscast Radio. And, just getting to hear his story and, coming back into the world of bass fishing after growing up in the, he didn't say, not the fishing world, bass fishing world, but the fishing world.
Yeah.
And, getting his feet wet again and, being a single father of 2 kids. So, it's a whole lot happening for this young man, but wish him the best of luck. The dude is a stick. I'm not gonna lie. He catches tanks. He really does.
Catches tanks.
He really does catch some big old fish. What's killed me is he hasn't won the Big Bass Tour yet. I don't know how he has not won that yet, but it's. I think that it's going to be his day one day winning the Big Bass Tour because like I said, he can find them and breaking down water and just studying and researching and making it happen. So hey, it's different being single. It really is, and you having to do all this yourself and not having a partner and feeling like you're an outsider on a body of water like that. And because the fishing industry is about winning. It really, and I think it's until you get to a certain age, and that's everything. Someone at work brought it up today. I'm 55, 60 years old, and now I want to teach. But the first 20 years, 30 years you're fishing, if you last that long in the industry, you want to win. So you're looking for the best partner. You're not willing to really take someone underneath your wing and help bring that person up and help.
Not in the tournament, even the team tournament situation. No. If you're fishing clubs, maybe you got a little bit of time and that's all you want to do. But you get into those big money tournaments, it's not about teaching somebody else. You need somebody that you can work with and that you work well together.
100%. All right, so give him guys a follow. Appreciate you guys all listening. Geek, appreciate you. Back on with us again tonight.
Thank you. Sorry. Been tough this year.
Don't forget, everyone, this weekend there's an Open, Bassmaster Open, and then we got the NPFL kicking off. It's already be kicked off when this gets launched on Thursdays. But NPFL this weekend, so a lot of great fishing happening, so make sure you're watching. Last but not least, I dropped one quick thing. I should have brought it up earlier. We put a new section on the website. It's called Letter to the Editor.
Oh, nice.
We want to hear your opinion. 500 words. Got to have that for Google. Straight to the point. All the instructions are on thebasscast.com. And you can, drop a tip, a complaint, whatever you want to drop. Don't drop names. Come on, people. But we've seen some controversy this year. And people love opinions. Them things did not sit on grocery store shelves for 50 damn years if people did not like opinions.
Yep.
And you guys all know what they are. Your wives read them back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and tabloids is what we called them. Everybody likes an opinion. And hey, we're going to give you a platform and a place where you can voice your opinion in 500 words, straight to the point, knock it out, and we're going to post it on there. You got to give us a name. I'll know who you are because I'll have your email address. But other than that, hey, it stays with us. It's there. But I just think, I hear so much opinion, and there's so many opinions at a fishing tournament. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
I could just hit record at one of the fishing tournaments and I could get enough to fill it up. Get Google Translate to translate it all for me because it would fill up a whole damn tape. But if I would have, could have, should have. But that's what it's called fishing for. Like you guys said, it doesn't matter the live scope. You still got to catch them.
That's right.
Hey, we see deer out there, and them cars hit them most of the time before guns do. You see that daggone thing. You still got to shoot it, though.
Yep.
Same thing with deer. With fish. So, Guys, appreciate you listening. Thank you for all the great follows. Thank you for everything. You guys have a great night, and we will be back next week.